Chargers Central. We're here after a thrilling come-from-behind victory against the Denver Broncos at SoFi last night. Uh, how you feeling, Levon?
Feeling great. Um, Finally, we're on the other side of coming back and winning a game.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, I was at the game. Felt so good, man, because there were a lot of Broncos fans there. After these last few games, having so many Charger fans there, that this time there were a good amount of Broncos fans. So it was nice to see them leave early and sad.
Yeah, I think another reason why there were more Bronco fans is because the game was flexed to Thursday night, and a lot of Charger fans who had booked, hotels and all those arrangements couldn't anymore. Couldn't come on Thursday. So it kind of screwed over the fans for the Chargers, but still, incredible win. Man, this was probably one of the best games I've seen Justin Herbert play. He literally willed this team to win last night, and all of a sudden now the critics have gone silent.
Yeah. Well, hey, I just saw a Fahoko tweet. You guys can all stop that slander about Herbert now, about him not being a top quarterback. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
After that win that we had week 6 against the Broncos, then we lost to the Cardinals, and fans are like, not Charger fans, but others, they're like, we haven't beaten a good team, this and that. We kept bringing up, we beat the Broncos. And they said, okay, but Bo Nix wasn't, he wasn't in form at the time, this and that. He wasn't in form yesterday. He played well, but Herbert played elite. And that's the difference. Bo Nix is a great quarterback, but Herbert's elite. And it showed yesterday.
Yeah, and Herbert was even scrambling, running around on a bad ankle. That just shows you how bad he wanted that.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that those kneels that he was taking at the end, he was like losing. He lost about 20 yards on those kneel downs. And before those kneel downs, he was at 5 rush attempts, 45 yards. So he was averaging 9 yards per carry, which is crazy. Yeah. And that throw to Darius Davis, I mean, how many quarterbacks can make that throw? Aside from maybe Josh Allen and maybe Patrick Mahomes, I don't see anybody else making that throw besides Herbert. So that was an insane throw, off balance, and being able to find Darius Davis. Darius Davis isn't the tallest guy. So being able to find him in all that crowd, that's impressive. And I think people saw how quick Darius Davis actually is now. It was good to see him involved in this offense. We need to see more of that.
Yeah. And hey, Hayden Hurst came up with a big third down catch. Hey, Josh Palmer with that crazy 2-point conversion popped up in the air and he caught it. Yeah. So everyone was stepping up. And
that's what we need to see. Last week, obviously that bad beatdown, and it deflated fans. And I feel like that's what the NFL is, though. Like, week by week, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's why I keep saying the AFC is open. Like, you just never know what might happen week to week. And Steelers play the Ravens this week. Hopefully the Steelers can win, because then the Ravens drop to, I believe, 9-6. We're currently 9-6 as well. And so are the Broncos. But the good thing is that we have the tiebreaker over the Broncos now. And if the Ravens lose one more after the loss of the Steelers, hopefully they lose, then we can move up to 5th. That's where we want to be, obviously, is 5th. But even 6th is fine. Like, as long as we avoid the Bills in the wild card, it's okay. The question now becomes, do you rest some of these guys that are injured to be healthy in the playoffs? Because at the same time, I get the argument that they should play, but if they're hurt, it doesn't matter who we play. We won't be able to win. So do you keep these guys fresh?
Yeah, I think only in a blowout, because you still have to win these games,
You do. You definitely do.
And every team is dangerous. Even, the Patriots and the Raiders, they're not winning many games, but all these teams have talent. All these teams, they they get a win over the Chargers, and then they're feeling better about themselves, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely don't count the Patriots out. Drake May, he's special. And we'll talk about that next week. But Saturday game, so more people will be watching. That's the sole game at 10 a.m. on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So more people will be watching that game. And then the Raiders, I mean, they just don't have enough. Like if Desmond Ritter's out there, I'm not concerned about winning that game. I don't know if Brock Bowers will be out there by then. They might want to shut him down. But I don't see the Raiders beating us. But the Patriots, it's possible in New England. You know, they could want to pull off an upset. We just can't let that happen. And hopefully Dobbins is back next week.
Yeah, and the Chargers haven't had a good history in New England, you know, I
Right.
remember Herbert's, what was it, his rookie year, we got beat down pretty bad, over there, yeah.
Yeah, just historically, we just haven't been good in New England or against the Patriots in general. I think also yesterday, Gus Edwards did
Yeah, he was
really
solid.
good. Like
Yeah,
I was shocked at the
yeah.
way this guy was running the ball. I've never seen him run the ball like this in his career.
No, and that huge run that he broke
Yeah,
off, I've never seen him have a run like that before.
dude, this guy's just missing tackle. Like they're just they're just falling on him. He just like, get off of me and just going forward. It's crazy.
It was like watching Derrick Henry out there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and this is what we need to see from Gus,
Yeah,
especially once Dobbins is back because we need that 1-2 punch.
yeah. And
So
Vidal had some good runs
he
too.
did. He did.
Yeah,
And the question now is going to be who's that third running back? Is it going to be Hassan Haskins or is it going to be Vidal? Because we saw that touchdown from Haskins yesterday. Like these
yeah,
unexpected guys getting these touchdowns yesterday. I loved it.
yeah. Yeah, that little shovel pass from Herbert and Haskins just took it to the house, man,
Yeah.
and you don't expect it, but this is what you need. It was a playoff atmosphere last night,
Yeah.
and a playoff type game. This is what you need in the playoffs, and they did it
Right.
against the top defense. So if you can do that against the Broncos, you can do that against anyone.
Right. And that's the thing. They're a top 3 defense.
Yeah,
So you can't come at us saying that this was not a good team.
yeah,
This is a very good team. They're a very dangerous team. And I still think they can beat the Chiefs.
yeah,
I think they can beat the Steelers, possibly, because of how good that defense is. And yeah, they have some guys injured, but they'll be back for the playoffs. Pat Surtain, interestingly, was covering Palmer yesterday a lot. And Palmer still had a good game. I'm surprised that he wasn't on Johnston. Johnson played well too. Obviously, that drop in the
yeah,
fourth, it happens. Look, he
yeah,
took, he took blame for it. He knows that was his mistake. So that's the important thing. But Hayden Hurst, like you said, big catch on that third down in the fourth. Good to see him back out there. He's a vet. We need that presence on the field. Stone Smart played well. Everyone just collectively, second half, they just played exceptionally well. First half, there were concerns, obviously. And, we spoke about this on Monday, or on Wednesday. So if you guys want to go hear that out, you guys can. But just because we won, I don't want to go to the negatives. I think we should just stick to the positives because we spoke a lot about the negatives on Wednesday. So
yeah.
just overall, a great game. Defense stepped up when needed to without Cam Hart. And is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But just getting this defense a little healthier makes a difference.
Definitely. And just to see a second half like this, we're used to, losing these second
Yeah.
halves and struggling to score points, and we just went on this run in the second half where they couldn't stop us, and this is the playoff type of football you want to see from the Chargers in December, because they're peaking just at the right time right now.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because we usually have a strong first half, and then for some reason just shut off in the second half. Broncos usually have a slow first half and shut off or go off in the second half, and it was reversed yesterday. So anything can happen week to week. You just never know. Obviously, I prefer us having 2 good halves, but as long as we finish strong, that's what matters. Finish strong, and there were games we haven't seen that, right? So this was refreshing to see. Just finish strong, and I think there was a little bit of creativity by Greg Roman yesterday with the Darius Davis plays, um, especially in the first half. Didn't really work out, but okay, at least we're seeing something different. Um, and Herbert just getting the ball out and finding these receivers, it was incredible performance by him. 31 pass attempts, 23 completions, and that 31st attempt was just in the air to run out the clock. But incredible game from him.
Yeah, 280 something yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and he's closing in on that record for most passing yards over 5 seasons to break Peyton Manning's record.
I, truly, I think if we didn't have an OC that's focused on the run, he would have done it by now.
Yeah, he
But
would have. He would have.
like, it is what it is because we're getting the wins. We're at 9 wins this year, and our over under total is at 8.5. We already passed that now.
Yeah,
So I hope you guys took that bet. It was the easiest money you can make, probably.
yeah,
But he would have easily passed that if he threw 35 times a game. But it is what it is. It's still an insane achievement just to be in the conversation with Peyton Manning. It is incredible. So he's going to keep doing what he's going to do. Protection was a bit better, I would say, yesterday,
yeah.
especially against that defense. I think it was a little bit better. Like, we saw
Well,
blitzes here and there, but normal coverage, it was decent. So we got to see that.
yeah, yeah. We talked about that last time, how important that
Yeah.
was, and the line stepped up. He still did get sacked, but it wasn't like the other games where he was constantly getting pressured and sacked.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had 2 sacks on him yesterday, which is not bad
no,
considering Falcons getting 5 on us,
yeah.
which they tied for their career high or whatever it was, the season high,
Season total, yeah,
season total.
yeah,
I mean, that was really bad,
yeah,
obviously, but it was good to see them kind of putting an effort in at least. There was
yeah,
one breakdown where I think they called holding on, was it Slater? Because the problem is, like, these guys, and Bozeman too was at fault yesterday at times. Like, he just allowing them to, like, you have Alton Slater trying to protect Herbert with 2 men coming at him, right? And then all you see is either it's Bozeman or Pipkins just protecting the air, like we've been saying. That's a problem. And there was a picture that someone posted. Um, Bozeman, Johnson, and Pipkins. 3 guys on 1 defender. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing here?
yeah.
So I hope that's behind us. We saw some of that yesterday, but I hope that's behind us now, and we can get momentum going these next 2 weeks for the playoffs. Because if this O-line shows up, we're gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah, yeah. If they protect Herbert like that, we can beat anyone.
Yeah.
And the defense shows up like they did in the second half. Great to have Denzel back. They still they still got some good runs on us.
Yeah,
Especially the first half. But
I was surprised. Oh man, the first half. Oh, that was bad. Like,
yeah,
they couldn't stop anything in the first half running wise. I was like, what is going on? The first 21 points they put up, back to back to back. I'm like, I'm watching the same team that I was watching at the beginning of the year. It was really bad that first
yeah.
half. But I think that field goal really turned the tables for us.
It did, and I was telling you, like, I was walking to get some food. I thought, like, okay, the Broncos are just going to run this out, and somehow I see on the TV we're kicking this weird. I don't even know what it is. Like, how are we getting this field goal here? And then we got it. Like, hey, we're still in this. We're 1 score away now, But it
Yeah.
was weird to see. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it was weird. I've never seen it before. Like I was telling you, I've never seen that
Yeah,
type of kick before.
yeah.
But
And it
just yeah,
and
go
it
ahead.
hasn't successfully been completed since 1976, which happened to be by the Chargers. It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
But I think that's good for Dicker's confidence.
it is.
and also Harbaugh's confidence in him. I think Harbaugh's confident in him. It's just the weather, I guess, was a little iffy in Kansas City. That's why they didn't kick that 57-yarder.
Yeah.
But I mean, since last year, Dicker's been automatic. So the confidence is there for him, I think. It's just the weather conditions were a bit off
Yeah.
For Harbaugh's liking. But yeah, I mean, he's just been so consistent for us. I'm just glad we found our kicker, and he's so young still. So this could be our franchise kicker.
Yeah.
Um,
My only concern is you still think about that kick in Jacksonville in the playoffs. He missed it. It could have sealed it for the Chargers, the win,
yeah,
and he missed it. And he's good. Dicker is good at putting stuff out of mind, but we need to see him have success in the playoffs. And everybody's got that get that monkey off their back of Jacksonville.
yeah, definitely.
So,
And I think since then, since that miss, he's been automatic. So he learned from that mistake, I think. And yeah, you're right. In the playoffs, it's gonna be a lot different. No matter how the atmosphere is during the regular season, the players know that's just regular season. So the unfortunate thing is we're gonna have to go on the road in the playoffs. But if we're the 5th seed, you never know what might happen. You never
yeah,
know.
yeah. Even if we're the sixth, I mean, you know, uh, look at that first half in Jacksonville. Like what we're capable of doing, to a
Yeah,
team in the playoffs on the
yeah.
road.
I meant more so like the home field advantage. Like we'd have a higher chance of getting home field if we were 5th and like
Yeah.
6th
Oh,
or
yeah.
7th knockout. But another thing I was thinking about was, let's say we're 5th and the Broncos somehow knock off the Bills. The divisional game would be Chiefs, Broncos. And if the Ravens can knock off the Steelers, all of a sudden we have home field advantage.
That'd be crazy.
But you never know. That's
Yeah.
why the seeding matters.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an unlikely scenario, but you just never know. It might happen.
Yeah.
I could see the Ravens knocking off the Steelers in the playoffs. Uh, Sunday, again, I hope that the Steelers win because then that ties us with the Ravens. Obviously, they own the tiebreaker, but they still have the Texans and I believe the Browns. So a lot tougher schedule than we do. And the Texans, I think it's in Houston on Christmas Day. Those games, you just never know what might happen. So still, I mean, it's crazy to say it's week 16, but still a lot undetermined.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah. You never know. And yeah, even that last week 18 game against the Raiders,
Yeah.
that can determine seeding.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I'll be at that game cheering on the Chargers. That'll be fun.
yeah.
But
I don't think there will be a lot of Raider fans. It's just
yeah, yeah,
because
but
they're already out. They've been out of contention for weeks now,
yeah,
so I don't think they're gonna want to go and see them lose again. But it's always good to beat the Raiders.
oh yeah,
Obviously, that first win was meaningful because everyone was playing. Devontae was still there and all those guys. So, but now it should be a given that we're gonna win, but you just can't take it for granted. You have to approach every game the same way.
yeah,
And getting Dobbins back next week is huge. Assuming he comes back next week, he's eligible too. So who knows? They might hold him out week 17, come back week 18, just get some reps for the playoffs. That works too. But the way Gus has been running, he's got to keep that up. If he can run like this when Dobbins is back, this is going to be a very scary team.
yeah. It's Herbert with a run game.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we saw how deadly Herbert was last night. I mean, yeah, if the run game and Herbert are working like that, who's going to beat us?
yeah.
And then the defense that, hey, it wasn't as dominant as it was earlier in the season, but like you said, it's still making plays when they need to.
That's the thing. Yeah, they held their own in the second half.
Yeah.
Derwin made those plays that he needed to in the fourth. Was Tariq still in the game, or did he get injured?
I'm not sure.
I want to say he got injured because I saw a lot more of Joshua Taylor, and I started getting worried. Like, okay, why don't we see still out here? Because already Hart was out, He might have exited and came back in. I'm not 100% sure on that, but hopefully we see Still and Hart play next week because we need both those guys healthy. Um, because
I know Dean Leonard had a big stop in
yeah,
the fourth quarter.
yeah,
Yeah,
he did, and I think we need to see more of Dean Leonard too instead of Joshua Taylor. And Nick Neiman, that onside kick, that was not easy to
no,
recover.
no,
So that credit to Nick Neiman. He's been great on special teams all year.
yeah,
We kind of thought he might have played inside linebacker this year. We haven't seen it, but he's been great as a special teams player. So that's important
yeah,
because you just never know. You know, you don't want those speed guys to return it for 50, 60 yards and then they get red zone field position.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and hey, Bosa came up with a sack. We were getting pressure this game. Yeah, all the things
yeah,
we talked about that we needed, they did it.
yeah. Tooley got a big stop on a run. And I feel like Mac is just being doubled constantly. That's got to open up room for any of these other guys. Like they got to step up.
Yeah,
And we
but
saw that
Bud
yesterday.
Dupree, he
But
got his first sack in like 5, 6 games.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we got to see more because they're neutralizing Mac. So the others got to step up. Um, and then what's his name? Junior Colson. He played, but not much. I think he still has to get into the rhythm. He's just not there yet. Because I know what he's capable of. We've seen him in Michigan. He's really good. And I know fans just don't have patience, but give it some time. He will be fine. Um, they're saying there were better options at ILB, possibly, but we got what we got now. It doesn't matter. So he'll be fine.
yeah,
I think, yeah, I'm not concerned about him. He just needs to get more reps.
yeah. And like you were saying earlier, I'm not concerned about QJ. When he had that drop, I could hear the boos raining down, and there was a guy in my section heckling him again. Like, it's like, come on, guys! Like, he leads our team in touchdowns. Like, he's so improved from last year. Uh,
Yeah,
it- you
that's a
know,
given.
yeah,
Like, you got to give him the flowers for
yeah,
improving. It's not easy because he was a first round pick. He knows the kind of pressure he's under. Yes, I get it. He's getting paid his millions. I understand all that. But at the end of the day, he's still a human, right? So you got to cut him some slack here and there. I'm not saying like that slant pass, for example, against the Ravens, inexcusable drop. But a drop like that, okay. I mean, okay, he wasn't going to get the first down anyway, even if he caught it. And we still got the first down on that drive. So, okay, he dropped it. So what? It's not
yeah.
like it was a touchdown type of pass that he dropped. No. Uh,
No, and hey, Justin Jefferson dropped a pass in the end zone last week. Like, and he's, maybe the top two wide
yeah,
receiver in the game right now,
yeah, it
so
happened. It
it
happens to
happens.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I think I believe Lad had 6 targets yesterday, 6 receptions. Again, I want to see more targets for him. Like
Yeah.
there was one game I think he was targeted 12 times. He had 9 receptions. So most of these times that he's targeting Lad, he's catching these passes. So as a reliable receiver, he's got him. Palmer played well yesterday. He had that big catch. They've been trying to connect those types of plays with Palmer recently. Hasn't worked, but yesterday it worked. Let's see more of that. I think he could be our deep threat, possibly. Chark was in the game at times. I didn't see any targets to him. But again, just that first quarter, no targets to Lad was kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
And then by the third quarter, he had 5 catches. So I thought, okay, this is the secret formula that you guys are missing. You guys got to keep going to him. And the way that again Gus was running, I'm still shocked. I've never seen him run this way.
Yeah.
He can run like this. You're not stopping this offense.
No, it was like he was running angry,
I love
like
it.
yeah, yeah,
We need to see more of that from Gus.
yeah,
And again, who's going to be that third running back? They might move Hassan Haskins to the special teams. He might still be on the roster. You never know. But if it's Vidal the odd man out, okay. I mean, it's not unexpected. He did well with during Dobbins' absence, but obviously he's not Dobbins. So like Dobbins is just a game changer, and I think people forget about how good he was prior to the injury. So having him back is huge. Whether it's against the Patriots or the Raiders, doesn't matter because by the playoffs he'll be back in full workload, and then we'll see what this offense can do.
Yeah, and they're gonna bring out all the stops for the playoffs, just like this second half against the
Yeah,
Broncos.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I think that's why I'm confident now is because of the way they played in the second half. Like it gave the team life, it gave the fans life, and it's like, okay, if you guys can play like this, let's continue to play like this, and not for one half or for one quarter, for a full game. Because if you can play like this for a full game, no one's beating you. I'll say that right now. You're just not going to lose. It was even better than the Bengals win this
yeah,
game. Like
yeah,
it was just really good.
yeah, and their backs were against the walls. I mean, because you could still make the playoffs. You lose that game, but
Yeah,
just all the momentum, all the energy from the team, from the fans, it would have been drained from us,
yeah,
to lose that game. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I said after the Chiefs game, I just don't see this team losing 3 in a row. And thank goodness we didn't, because
yeah,
if we had, that would have really derailed our confidence. But a huge win. Prime time must-win game. Justin Herbert stepped up. Just
yeah.
you guys just need to remember that he willed this team to a win.
Yeah, and people forget, like he did that in the fourth quarter against the Bengals. He's done that in huge games in the past. People just have such short memories.
Selective memory.
Yeah,
Selective memory. They remember the
yeah,
bad,
yeah,
the game against, let's say, Baltimore, the game against the Cardinals, not the game against the Bengals, Broncos, etc. And
yeah,
this is not the first time we've seen Herbert, play well in the fourth.
yeah,
It's just, yeah. I mean, could he have made better decisions in some fourth quarters? Sure. Every quarterback, you can say the same thing about every quarterback.
yeah,
So, I mean, and the guy, I don't want to make excuses, but he's dealing with not one, but multiple injuries. So to do that with those injuries, especially ankle injury, running like that, that's special.
yeah. He took the team on his back. He finally they finally threw a flag for a late hit on him this time. Uh, I saw two more later in the game that they didn't throw flags for, including the kneel down at the end of the game. He
Mhm.
he gets hit. Like,
I saw
what's
that.
going?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And that would have probably saved them another 10 yards right there for rushing. Because I mean, I didn't want him to come out. I was like, just bring Heineke in, man. Like, keep this guy's 45 rushing yards
yeah,
intact. And I was like, okay, fine, 2 kneels, it'll be like 43 yards. And they're just going 10 yards back. I'm like, dude, no.
that's just such a silly rule. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like why count that towards the stats.
I don't that yeah, that I don't understand.
Yeah,
Like even let's say Matt Stafford, who doesn't run, like he'd take a knee and get -1 yards. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It hurts the quarterback for no reason. Like the quarterback basically won them the game most times, and then
yeah,
he's gonna get penalized
yeah,
for taking the knee. I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
yeah. It reminds me of a fantasy league I play in where the QB gets sacked, you lose a point. Uh, It's like what is it? I finally got the commissioner after a couple years to change it to half a point, but it's still like, why are you
That
losing
makes
points?
no sense.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, if you have an offensive line, let's say, which never happens, okay, but what
Yeah,
does the quarterback have to do with that?
yeah, weird. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes they just make up these rules where it's just mind-boggling. Like, where did that come from? Like, maybe sometimes they have like a tight end receiving bonus. Okay, that makes sense because tight ends don't really get receptions unless you're Trey McBride. They don't really get receptions. But to take a sack, I don't understand that.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. Weird. But great times right now for the Chargers.
Yeah.
We're yeah, I mean, you got to expect that they're gonna win these last two and
Yeah.
finish 11-6. Like, didn't you predict 11-6 for the
Yeah,
Chargers? Yeah,
I did.
yeah,
Which is crazy now to
yeah,
think about it
yeah.
because like no one really expected them to win 11 or even 12
No,
or none of those. Like they
yeah,
thought 8, 9 wins max. To
yeah,
get 11 is crazy with this roster.
it
Um,
is.
no disrespect to the roster. Like these guys have
No,
stepped up and
yeah,
filled in big shoes. It's just obviously, the talent wise, yeah, I mean, it's not 100% there.
yeah,
But effort wise, if it's 100% there, that would cancel out the talent. Because if you put in the effort, that beats talent.
yeah.
So I think there was a fan yesterday who posted on X, um, who was yelling at Joe Horitz or Ortiz. Um, what was he saying? What are you gonna do with the money, the offseason money? We're gonna spend that shit. so so he like Joe Ortiz, like he's ready
Oh yeah,
to
yeah,
to definitely empty the bank during free agency. I'm sure we're gonna get a revamped O line. Hopefully another receiver, and maybe some defensive pieces because yeah, there are some improvements to make defensively too, like Joshua Taylor's role, for example.
yeah,
Um, Maybe I don't know if Perriman will come back next year. If he does, we're good on inside linebackers. But those like little roles on the defense make a big improvement because you just never know. Injuries always happen, so you never know. But first things first is that O line. You can improve that. You're golden. You give Herbert time to throw, you're golden.
yeah.
So he's not going to be afraid to spend.
No, and it'll be fun to see, just to see because there's so many possibilities and how he nailed this draft class so well too, and then to get another
Yeah,
crack at it next year. Yeah, obviously going to be a lower pick than last time, but
which is okay. I'm
yeah,
fine with that because yeah, we could have gotten Ashton Janty, but that's fine. I think getting Tyler Warren or Colson Loveland is perfect. A tight end like that is perfect for this team. I
yeah,
think you give a tight end like that to Herbert, good luck.
yeah, yeah. Herbert loves his tight end, and he had Hunter Henry that first year, who
Yeah.
was so perfect that I really wanted them to keep him.
I don't understand why they let him
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
But I think, I know fans keep going back to imagine having Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey together. They played in Georgia together. Imagine having that. I initially thought that we were going to get Bowers, not Neighbors. I was like, this guy is perfect. He's the perfect tight end for Herbert. And Joel did shock me. But he's done exceptionally well. And do I want Brock Bowers? Yeah, I think most fans would say they want Brock Bowers on their team. But if the option is between those two, I'd say Alt because the offensive line in this class isn't as strong as Joe Alt.
yeah,
So getting a Tyler Warner, Colson Loveland kind of replaces not getting Brock Bowers, plus getting an elite tackle and Lad. I think that's fine.
yeah,
So I think the way to go in the draft is tight end. Obviously, if Ashton Janty is there, take him, but I don't think he's going to be there. I think he'll be gone in the top 10. Um, I possibly top 15 because I don't know where the Cowboys pick, but I think he's a perfect match for the Cowboys. Because he's more of a power running back and they can use Dowdle as like a pass catcher, so it's perfect for them. Um, and if we get him, it's like I don't know because Dobbins isn't really a pass catching back. So where do you fit those two? So it's better to get a tight end.
yeah. It may just be Greg Roman's offense too. It's like
Yeah,
you know, we saw Vidal have that great catch and run in his very first play, and
yeah,
we haven't really seen much.
that's
Since.
true. That's true. It could be his play. It could be his play calling, which I don't like if that's the case, because
Yeah,
we've seen how effective Herbert can be with those passes to Eckler.
yeah,
I don't know why you take that away from him. But we saw a couple of catches from Vidal last game, the game before against the Bucks. None yesterday. So I don't know. Gus had a catch like in the first quarter. Weird play. The first quarter was just weird. I don't know. It was just
yeah,
it was just weird. But we saw a catch from Gus, and that was it. I was like, okay, maybe we get Gus involved through the air, but no, it was just that catch for like a yard, and that was it. But I think we're good draft wise too. And look, if Tyler Warren's gone, I definitely could see Harbaugh calling up and trading up to get Loveland.
yeah.
I think Broncos need a tight end too. So
Mhm.
we're both going to get tight ends. It's just who. And, you know, I don't really care which one we get, whether it's Warren or Loveland. I think if they're both available, Broncos take Warren and we get Loveland. But if one or the other are not available, Harbaugh's going to trade up. I just don't see him passing up on that Michigan tight end.
Yeah, and Greg Roman loves having a good tight end too. Historically, his offense is rely on the tight end. So, yeah,
Yeah.
adding that kind of
The
yeah,
question is for Roman, is it a blocking tight end that he wants, or is it more of a passing? Because like Loveland and Warren aren't blocking tight ends; they're more,
yeah,
just athletic freaks.
yeah,
Like fans are gonna love either of these guys that we get, or they can shock us again and get neither, like we saw last
yeah,
year. But
yeah,
I think it's a perfect place for them to get a tight end here.
yeah. That would be great. I mean, you keep Disley,
Yeah,
keep Disley, and you add one of these guys, and
yeah,
because this offense could be so much more dynamic with a tight end, who can catch. We've seen that in the spurts with Stone Smart, with at the times when Disley makes catches, like it's huge and
yeah.
huge red zone threat too.
Definitely. And I think it makes up for any drops from the receivers, because then you have a safety net, right? You already have Lad as one. So you
Yeah,
have a second safety net there. Because if you guys watch their tape, college tape, they're both athletic freaks. Like I have them just a tier below Brock Bowers. And there are not many people above Brock Bowers, players above
right,
Brock Bowers. So tight
right.
ends, I should say. So both of them are special talents. It's good that we have two options because there will be other teams that need a tight end. Obviously, Broncos are going to be drafting ahead of us, so they're going to get to choose whichever they want. But either whichever we get is going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. It's exciting times to be a Charger fan right now.
Yeah, I
But
mean it's a rebuild supposedly, but we're in the playoffs and we have a lot of money to spend and a
yeah,
good amount of draft capital. So this year is great. We hope to make a run in the playoffs, but next year's going to be even better.
yeah, yeah, and hey, after that Denver game, like it's realistic to make a run in the playoffs right
I
now.
think so. I think
Yeah,
so. I think also if we play the Steelers, let's say, right, we're stuck in six. That's fine. We
yeah,
play them once. We're going to learn from our mistakes, and that was what 20-10 that game.
yeah,
Herbert went out the third quarter. Alton Slater were out.
yeah,
Some other guys missed games from the defense. So, and I think Bosa played but exited early.
yeah,
So, I mean, you're going to see a complete different Charger team against the Steelers. Obviously, running wise, it's going to be a bit tough because that's a very good rush defense. But through the air, they're not that great. Like Devontae Smith went off against the Steelers, so that should be a lad game. So I have hope. I have hope against the Steelers, against the Texans, even against the Ravens in Baltimore. I'm still okay with that because yeah, we lost, but it was a one possession game, and I think they will learn from their mistakes because we've seen Harbaugh play teams that he's met in a prior that's to that season and completely adjusted his game plan. So we saw that against the Chiefs, right? We almost beat them. I mean, we should have if
yeah,
we were healthy, but I hate to make excuses, but it's just true. Like if we had Dobbins and Ladd, our wide receiver went on RB1, we would have won that game.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why Harbaugh is such a great coach because
Yeah.
he does, adjust, and we wouldn't see that from Staley. If we still had Staley, I swear we would lose one of these two next games that should be gimmies. Like it, you
We
know,
would
yeah,
lose, and we wouldn't even be in playoff contention if we
yeah,
had Staley.
yeah,
This team currently, this roster would not be in playoff contention with Staley.
yeah,
Look at, I keep going to Kellen Moore. Look at how well he's doing in Philly with
yeah,
Sirianni, and look at this the Niners. These guys were one of the top defenses. Now they're one of the worst.
yeah,
It just and they're gonna miss the playoffs.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, remember to subscribe and smash that like button. Drop us a comment and head over to Underdog Fantasy, promo code BOLT. They'll match up to $1,000. And we will see you guys next week. All
Yep.
right.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Bolt up.